Week 9 Day 1. Impresario 1 who presents cultural series, organizer. Since the eminent impresario brought many cultural spectacles to our shores. Since impresario noun see plural. Impresario is a person who arranges public entertainments, such as theater, musical and dance events. London's leading theatrical impresario. Extortion, getting money by threats. Since, when the business manager was accused of extortion, his colleagues sought to oust him from the firm. Extort, verb t, to obtain something by force or threat, or with difficulty. He had been extorting money from the old lady for years. Police have not so far been able to extort a confession from the people accused of the bombing. Extortion, noun he was found guilty of obtaining the money by extortion by forceful methods. Extortioner, noun see also extortionist, a person who obtains something by force or threat. Adverse, unfavorable, harmful. Since it was excruciatingly, extremely insufferable, painful for the actors to read the adverse reviews that their performances had received. Since adverse, since the match has been cancelled due to adverse weather conditions. Since they received a lot of adverse publicity, criticism about the changes. So far the drug is thought not to have any adverse effects. Adversely, in a way that is harmful or likely to cause problems. Since a lot of companies have been adversely in a harmful way affected by the recession. Asset, a valuable thing to have. Since President Clinton hoped to be an asset in his wife's campaign for the U.S. Senate position. Since asset, noun 1 see a useful or valuable quality, skill or person. He'll be a great asset to the team. Her eyes are her best asset, most attractive feature. Knowledge of languages is a real asset in this sort of work. 2c, usually plural, something valuable belonging to a person or organization, which can be used for the payment of debts. A company's assets can consist of cash, investments, buildings, machinery, specialist knowledge or copyright material, such as music or computer software. Liquid assets, money, or things which can easily be changed into money. Compare liabilities at liable, responsible. Bigot, a narrow-minded, prejudiced person. Since attacked by the irate crowd, the bigot asked the police for sanctuary. Since bigot, noun see disapproving, a person who has strong, unreasonable beliefs and who thinks that anyone who does not have the same beliefs is wrong. A religious bigot who was known to be a loud-mouthed, opinionated bigot. Bigoted, adjective, disapproving, she's so bigoted that she refuses to accept anyone who doesn't think like her. Bigotry, noun you disapproving, religious, racial bigotry, to spill the beans, to give away a secret. Sense, although he was naturally reticent, when the felon was intimidated by the members of the rival gang, he spilled the beans. Just spell the name correctly. P.T. Barnum, the great circus impresario, was once accosted by a woman who showed him a scurrilous coarse manuscript about himself, and said that unless he paid her, she would have the book printed. Barnum rejected the extortion attempt. "Say what you please," he replied, "but make sure that you mention me in some way. Then come to me and I will estimate the value of your services as a publicity agent." Barnum obviously felt that adverse criticism was an asset for a public figure. A man who seeks the limelight should not care what is written about him, but should be concerned only when they stop writing about him. Barnum's philosophy. Week 9 Day 2. Blatant, disagreeably loud, very showy. Since with blatant discourtesy the reporters continued to harass the bereaved family. Since blatant, adjective, describes something bad that is very obvious or intentional, a blatant lie. The whole episode was a blatant attempt to gain publicity. Blatantly, adverb, it was blatantly obvious that she was telling a lie. Entourage, group of attendants. Since the visiting dictator's ubiquitous entourage of bodyguards disturbed our tranquil city. Since entourage, group, noun see usually singular, the group of people who travel with and work for an important or famous person. The rock star arrived in London with her usual entourage of dancers and backing singers. Virulent, full of hate, harmful. Since Europe's population was afflicted by a virulent plague known as the Black Death. Since virulent, adjective, 1 describes a dangerous disease or poison, which very quickly spreads or has an effect. A particularly virulent strain of flu has recently claimed a number of lives in the US too formal, full of hate and fierce opposition. She is a virulent critic of US foreign policy. Virulence, noun U1 the danger and speed of spreading of a disease. The virulence of the disease is causing great concern in medical circles. to formal strength of hatred and opposition, we are witnessing racism of a virulence that we haven't seen in Europe since the 1940s. Venom, poison, spite, malice. Since Cleo Bright's mother succumbed yield to the venom of a snake bite. Null sense venom, poison, noun you, a poisonous liquid which some snakes, insects, etc. produce when biting or stinging. Venomous adjective, a venomous snake. Sense venom, hatred, noun you, literary, the expression of feelings of hatred or extreme anger. He was shocked at the sheer venom of her reply. Venomous adjective, full of anger or hate. Ms. Brown has launched a venomous attack against the newspaper. Venomously adverb, sense spit blood. Venomous also spit nails. Australian English also spit tax, to speak in an angry way, or to show anger. I thought he was going to spit blood when he saw what had happened. Spew, sense from each candidate's headquarters acrimonious charges would spew forth daily. Sense spew, verb I or T, plus adverb or preposition. If something spews liquid or gas spews from something, it flows out in large amounts. The volcano spewed a giant cloud of ash, dust and gases into the air. The drains spew out millions of gallons of raw sewage into the river. Paper came spewing from the computer printer. Sense spew, sth up, phrasal verb M, slang to vomit. I was spewing up all night after those mussels. To keep a stiff upper lip, to be courageous in the face of trouble. Sense it was admirable to see how the British managed to keep a stiff upper lip in spite of the German bombing. Bigots get publicity. Today, the blatant bigot, the leader of a lunatic fringe, and the hate-monger, each with his tiny entourage, find it relatively easy to attract publicity. Newspapers give space to the virulent activities of those agitators on the grounds that they are newsworthy. TV producers and radio executives, seeking for sensationalism, often extend a welcome to such controversial characters. Yes, said the host of one such program, we invite bigots, but it is only for the purpose of making them look ridiculous by displaying their inane policies to the public. Some civic-minded organizations have answered, however, that the hosts are not always equipped to demolish those guests, and even if they were, the audience would still be exposed to the venom they spew forth. Week 9, Day 3. Loath, unwilling, reluctant. Sense we felt that the ruling was arbitrary, dictatorial, we were loath to obey it. Sense loathe, verb T, to hate someone or something. From an early age the brothers have loathed each other. Do you like fish? No, I loathe it. Plus ing, form of verb I loathe doing housework. Solicit, to beg, seek earnestly. Sense daily the volunteers went out to solicit funds for the indigent poverty families. Sense solicit, verb 1T, formal, to ask someone for money, information or help. To solicit donations for a charity. It is illegal for public officials to solicit gifts or money in exchange for favors. To offer sex for money, usually in a public place. Solicitation, noun C or U, formal, soliciting, noun U, legal, when someone offers to have sex for money. Astute, keen, shrewd. Sense my neighbor was astute enough to discern, perceive the adverse features of the mortgage. Sense astute adjective, clever and quick to see how to take advantage of a situation. An astute investor, businesswoman, is astute handling of the situation. An astute observer of human behavior. Astutely adverb astuteness, noun U, null advocate, to be in favor of, to support. Sense the general was sure to advocate that we give the enemy no respite from the bombings. Sense advocate, support, verb T, to publicly support or suggest an idea, development or way of doing something, plus ing, form of verb. She advocates taking a more long-term view. He advocates the return of capital punishment. Advocate, noun C, he's a strong advocate of state ownership of the railways. Advocacy, noun U, she is renowned for her advocacy of human rights. Sense advocate, lawyer, noun C, a lawyer who defends someone in a court of law. Ineffectual, not effective. Sense the play was so blatantly, boldly bad that the impresario organizer fired its ineffectual director. Sense ineffectual adjective, formal, not skilled at achieving, or not able to produce good results. An ineffectual leader. Several of the teachers were ineffectual at maintaining discipline. Ineffectually adverb, to have cold feet, to hesitate because of fear or uncertainty. Sense my cousin was all set to join the paratroops, but at the last moment he got cold feet. Coping with bigots. Suppose a bigot wished to organize a meeting in your neighborhood. Since we cherish freedom of speech, we are loath to deny the request, even if he preaches hatred. As a result, hate-mongers are given the opportunity to rent halls, conduct meetings, publish abusive literature, and solicit contributions. What can be done about them? One astute observer, Prof. S. Endel Feinberg, advocates the quarantine method. His plan is to give such groups no publicity and to ignore them completely. Without the warmth of the spotlight, he feels that the bigot will freeze and become ineffectual. Debating with such warped minds is not feasible and only tends to exacerbate the situation. Week 9 Day 4. Scrutinize examine closely. Since no sooner did the lawyer scrutinize the extortion notice than she called the police. Since scrutinize, UK usually scrutinize verb to examine something very carefully in order to discover information. He scrutinized the men's faces carefully closely, trying to work out who was lying. Scrutiny noun the careful and detailed examination of something in order to obtain information about it. The government's record will be subjected to come under close scrutiny in the weeks before the election. Nefarious, villainous, vicious. Since we were distraught, extremely worried upon hearing the venom spewed forth by the nefarious bigot. Since nefarious adjective formal especially of activities evil or immoral, the director of the company seems to have been involved in some nefarious practices activities. Nefariously adverb formal nefariousness noun formal amicable friendly, peaceful. Since our amicable relations with Latin America are an asset to hemispheric trade. Since amicable adjective 1 relating to behavior between people, that is pleasant and friendly often despite a difficult situation, his manner was perfectly amicable but I felt uncomfortable. 2 relating to an agreement or decision, that is achieved without arguments or unpleasantness, few people have amicable divorces. Eventually we reached an amicable settlement. Amicably. Since adverb I hope we can settle this amicably. Vexatious annoying. Since the vexatious buzzing of the mosquitoes, as they surged about our heads nearly drove us insane. Since vex verb old-fashioned, to cause difficulty to someone, or to cause someone to feel angry, annoyed or upset, this issue looks likely to continue to vex the government. Vexation noun old-fashioned when you worry or annoyance. After several unsuccessful attempts to start his car, he swore in vexation. To see something that is worrying or annoying. Vexatious adjective old-fashioned difficult to deal with and causing a lot of annoyance, worry or argument. This settlement will resolve one of the most vexatious difficult problems in the field of industrial relations. Vexatiously adverb old-fashioned vexed adjective before noun difficult to deal with and causing a lot of disagreement and argument. The government has to deal with the vexed question of how to reduce spending. Malady disease. Since once the virulent malady had run its course, my temperature dropped. Since malady noun formal when a disease, all the rose bushes seem to be suffering from the same mysterious malady. 2 a problem within a system or organization. Apathy is one of the maladies of modern society. To look a gift horse in the mouth, to be critical of a present from the practice of judging a horse's age by his teeth. Since, although I didn't have much use for Uncle Roy's present, I took it with a big smile, since I have been taught never to look a gift horse in the mouth. More than silence. The quarantine method for handling bigots implies more than giving them the silent treatment. Prof. Feinberg urges community relations organizations to scrutinize the nefarious activities of hate-mongers, and to be prepared to furnish information about them to amicable inquirers. When a rabble-rouser is coming, those organizations should privately expose him to opinion molders. In addition, constructive efforts should be taken to induce people to involve themselves in projects for improving intergroup relations. Bigger than the vexatious immediate problem is the need to find out the cause for such bigotry, and to counteract the sinister malady that afflicts a segment of our society. Week 9 Day 5. This century's deadliest disease. When the American public started to hear about the AIDS virus in the 1980s, there was a measure of concern but no real alarm. After all, some said, it was a problem solely for a small group of intravenous drug users who share dirty needles, and for the homosexual community. But as the numbers of afflicted people grew during the 1980s and 1990s, we began to scrutinize the tragic news stories more closely. The deaths of young people like Ryan White and Kimberly Berghuis, not members of the at-risk groups referred to above, convinced us that what was at first regarded merely as a vexatious illness was actually a virulent threat to the general community. In the mid-1980s, astute medical researchers were optimistic that a vaccine for AIDS would be found in short order. Those predictions proved to be inaccurate. In October 1992, former Surgeon General C. Everett Koop said that he doubted we would ever find a cure for the disease. With over 200,000 Americans already having succumbed to the nefarious killer, and another 300,000 who were HIV positive and could contract a full-blown form of AIDS, Koop's statement sent chills throughout the country. A prominent eminent AIDS expert, however, took issue with Koop. "The fight will be difficult," said Dr. Harley Smith, "but we will find an answer before the end of the 20th century."